Ladies and gentlemen, members and friends, I've already poured this one, but I just wanted to get the cork sound. I want to talk about what these words at the ends of the cask details mean on bottles. Now, when you have a bottle of whiskey, from the SMWS at least, it says, in this case, for this 36.190, first fill, ex Oloroso hogshead. There's three things there immediately that we're learning from what this is. And there's three bits of data there that we need to dissect. It's the third one, though, that I want to focus in on. So the first part is the first fill, second fill, or refill. First fill meaning it's the first time that cask has been used post its previous seasoning or previous use. Second fill obviously being the second time, it's the second filling. And refill meaning second, third, or fourth fill. We don't really use beyond third fill at Society, but it can mean just it's a refill cask. However, the second part is the ex-seasoning type, so you'll see first, second, refill, and then you'll see ex-Oloroso, ex-bourbon, ex-rum, ex-beer, ex-tequila, whatever that cask type is, that's then used to mature that whiskey. It's that third, however, that third one, hogshead. So you'll see hogshead, you'll see barrel, you'll see butt, you might even see, in other cases, rundlet, you might see Kildurkin, you might see pipe, you might see... all these words are indicators as to the traditional size of that cask. So, the most common cask type used in the entire whiskey industry worldwide is the XASB, so American Standard Barrel, or as we could just call it, barrel. And a barrel indicates a 2 to 220 litre vessel. And they're easy to cooper, well, if you're a cooper, if you know what you're doing. They're easy to cooper, they're perfect size for transport, and they carry 200 litres of liquid. There are historical reasons for why that size came about. Whatever 211 litres, whatever that they traditionally hold, converted into gallons would have been a standardised size that was used in America for more than 100 years now. In fact, hundreds of years. And that's has translated into what we know as ex-bourbon barrels today. The bourbon industry predominantly uses these barrels because that's what they're built for. They're built for bourbon use. So the barrels are predominantly ex-bourbon barrels are most of the whiskey trade. I'd say the second most popular would be hogsheads. So a hogshead is anywhere between 260 to 330 litres in size. So there's a bit more variation in those. They can be a bit bigger. Well, they're always bigger than barrels, I should say. And the way that they do this is that they're usually wider, not taller. So they're also very fast to adapt from a barrel. Every hogshead was once a barrel. And the hogsheads are barrels with extra staves. The rings, the hoops are widened, and extra staves are inserted in to widen the barrel and add 50, 60 litres of extra space within that barrel. Hogsheads, I do find, especially with Scotch whiskies, provide often a different profile. So ex-bourbon hogshead versus ex-bourbon barrel. I find ex-bourbon barrels to be a bit sweeter often. They have a lovely sweetness from the ex-bourbon barrel. They're a bit smaller, so they have a higher surface area to spirit ratio. Whereas hogsheads have a lower surface area to spirit ratio, so they're often a bit more spirit forward, even if they're older whiskies. So if you try something like a 12-year-old ex-bourbon hogshead versus a 12-year-old ex-bourbon barrel from the same distillery, if you were lucky enough to do that, they'd be quite remarkably different, even just from size, and that comes from the amount of spirit area touching the cask inside, etc., and the ratio of spirit to wood contact. So the colour of that whiskey comes from the cask. And that colour is imparted very early on in most cases. So you'll see with spirit, white spirit, clear spirit, will look whiskey coloured even within 4 or 5 days of it being in that barrel. It doesn't take long for the colour to impart, but it takes a long time for the age and the settling to play its part, which is why whiskey is often as old as 12 years old. Now, and I always like to stress this at my tastings, you often think about, sometimes you might think, 12 isn't very old for whiskey. It is in the grand scheme of things. If you think about it, it takes a day to make a vodka, it makes 2 days to make a gin. It took 12 years to make this whiskey. And I think that's kind of cool that we get to this point. And especially 12 years in wood, as opposed to many other spirits around the world, like French spirits, like other brandies and whatnot, which are often 2 years in wood and then 20 years in glass or whatnot. They age differently to whiskey, so we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Or they mature differently, let's put it that way. But this is an example of where different sizes and different words mean usually the sizes is the last word is the indicator of the size. So something like a Kildurkin or a Rundlet, they're very small sizes. They're usually 25, 35 litre barrels. not much good for maturing for a long time. In fact, usually they're used for just finishing. So that might be a whiskey where it's had 10 years in a hogshead, but then that 250 litres that's left over is put into 10 different smaller barrels, or 3 different smaller barrels, or or quarter casks, which are 125 litre barrels, and a quarter meaning a quarter of a butt, not a quarter of a barrel. If you're confused yet, I'm sorry. I love going through this stuff quickly, but it's one of those things where the sizes are always indicated by the names. So a quarter cask is also known as a 125 litre barrel, which you could get 4 casks cut down. It was 1/4 the size of a butt. Now, a butt being usually about 550 to 600 litres are sherry butts. They're the big boys. They're the biggest standard cask size used in the whiskey trade. Yes, I say standard. I mean, you still see port pipes sometimes that are 700 litre, and cigar pipes, sometimes they're called, which are like those. The port pipes are quite long and much narrower casks, whereas the butts are just big. They're big and round. So butts are big and round. I'm sure that's completely unintentional, but it's true. They are big casks. They're both wide and tall. And sherry butts are often hugely desirable by whiskey producers. And as a result, sherry casks and sherry hogshead and sherry butts are quite expensive because everyone loves sherried whiskey. So that's why a lot of the reasons why sherried whiskies are always a little bit dearer than, say, ex-bourbon whiskies. I hope that gives you a quick insight into some of the differences in cask types and different sizes that we see. And wherever you are, however you enjoy it, cheers, Sanjiva, and thanks for coming along the ride.